Hey everybody, and welcome to Run Tall with Tim. I'm Tim. Today's video is a shoe battle between the Hoka Clifton 8 and the New Balance Fresh Foam More V3. So ding ding, let's step in the ring and see who comes out on top. Both of these are considered to be neutral road shoes that I ordered true to size. They each have comfortable uppers and soft midsole foam to run in. But before I get into it too far, I always like to demonstrate what it looks like to run in the shoes that I'm about to review for you. So let's do that. But then when we come back together, I'm putting the Hoka Clifton 8 up against the New Balance Fresh Foam More V3 in an epic daily training shoe battle. And I'll pick a winner and share that with you at the end of the video. This video is not intended to be a full review of either shoe, but if you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the description below to reviews that I've completed for each of them previously. If you're new to the channel, I post running shoe reviews, comparisons, and shoe battles weekly, but I also like to post other videos about running as well. So if you enjoy watching running shoe reviews and other videos related to running, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time that I upload new content. Now there is a difference in the cost as well as the weight in these. With the New Balance Fresh Foam More V3, they came in at $165 US, and they weigh 10.1 ounces for a US men's size 9 on my scales, or 286 grams. While the Hoka Clifton 8, they cost $130 US, and they came in at 8.9 ounces, and again, that's a men's US size 9, or 252 grams. Looking at the uppers, I'm going to start with the Clifton 8 here. You can see that it's got lots of perforations up in the toe box. As we pan our way around to the side of the shoe, you can see that they also have some quilted material here in the midfoot section of the shoe. That's simply to firm up that material so you can get a solid lockdown feeling across the midfoot section of the shoe. And then they lose those perforations as you get back to the heel counter. Now, as we look at the New Balance Fresh Foam More V3, you can see that they too have some perforations up in the toe box. What's difficult to show in video is that this material is actually thicker, so it feels like there's a bit more structure there. And then as we work our way around to the side of the shoe, you can see that they do indeed have more structure. All of the shiny material, that's a plastic overlay, does give it a bit more structure, adds a little durability to the shoe. But in terms of breathability, I'm going to give it to the Hoka Clifton 8. Looking at the eyelet chain here on the Clifton 8, you can see that they feature pretty much just a classic style here. They do have that extra material around the eyelets for add some durability and some longevity to the shoe so your laces don't rip through. And they also feature that extra eyelet in case you want to run with a runner's knot. And then as we look at the More V3, here you can see that they too have pretty much a classic style lace enclosure system here with a little bit of a twist. You can see in the center they have a couple of loops as opposed to the basic eyelets. They too have that extra eyelet there at the top in case you want to run with the runner's knot. I would say in terms of fit and feel and the function, I'm going to call this a tie. Checking out the tongue, I'm going to start with the Hoka Clifton 8 first. And here you can see they got plenty of padding there. You can see just how thick that material is. And this also features a semi-gusset, so that's always nice. You know, I always appreciate that because you don't have to worry about the tongue migrating around or bunching up. It's always going to lay nice and flat across your midfoot. And then turning and looking at the More V3, here you can see that this also has a nice well-padded tongue. I do like the design of this just a little bit better because I like to have that perforation up that start here, and then it has that thicker, more padded area towards the top of the tongue where you really need it most. It does not feature a gusset, as you can see, but it is wide, lays flat across my foot, and it feels really comfortable. So in this case, I'm going to give the point to the New Balance More V3. Now the padding around the heel collar and the tab on the Hoka Clifton 8, you can see that they got plenty of it. And it's that pillow style. It sits up there towards the top. And then they have a slight Achilles heel flare, and they've got a nice little notch for your Achilles to set in. That felt really comfortable. And then as we turn, we look at the More V3. Pretty much the same story. You know, they've got about the equivalent amount of padding around the heel collar as well as in the tab of the shoe. They do have a slight Achilles heel flare as well as a place for your Achilles to rest in. Again, a very comfortable shoe. So in terms of comfort and padding around the heel collar and the tab, again, I got to call this one a tie. So let's take a look at the construction of the heel counter in each of these. I'm starting with the Hoka Clifton 8 first, and as I put it up on my shoulder, I'm going to just give it the pinch test. And here you can see that they have a fair amount of resistance there, so they have a lot of structure, including this plastic heel clip that wraps from the lateral to the medial side of the shoe. And that is covered in kind of a cloth-like material, so it's soft to the touch. And then also you'll notice that they bring their compression molded EVA foam up quite a ways on that heel counter, so it kind of gives you that feeling of sitting in the bucket seat of a racing car. So let's take a look and see how that compares to what's going on in the More V3 in here. As I put this up on my shoulder and give it the pinch test, they do have quite a bit of structure back there. They also have some additional material, just like the Hoka Clifton 8, where it starts on the lateral side and wraps around to the medial side of the shoe to give it a little extra structure. But one of the things I want to point out is the Fresh Foam X midsole material and just how high they come up on the heel counter. They come up a bit further than Hoka does in the Clifton 8. And that too gives you that feeling of sitting in the bucket seat of a racing car. What I like about this and having it come up so high is it creates a nice solid heel pocket for you to sit in, and that feels really comfortable. So in this case, I got to give the design of the heel counter to the More V3. So let's talk midsoles. On the Hoka Clifton 8, they've got their compression molded EVA foam from the heel to the toe. They've got a pretty fair amount of it. They have a 29 millimeter stack height in the heel and 24 up in the forefoot for a 5 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. It has a nice rounded heel with a heel bevel, and then they feature their early stage Meta Rocker design to help you flow through your gait cycle just a little bit easier. Taking a look at the More V3 here, they've got their Fresh Foam X midsole material. They have 38 millimeter stack height in the heel and 34 in the forefoot for a 4 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. They too have a rounded heel with a heel bevel, and they've got a pretty aggressive rocker. Now they don't call it an early stage Meta Rocker design, but I'd say it's pretty much on par in terms of the rocker contour that they have to that midsole material that does make it feel really natural and comfortable as you flow through your gait cycle on the More V3s as well. So just how soft is that midsole foam on each of these? Starting with the Hoka Clifton 8 first in that compression EVA foam. As I use my thumbs to compress that midsole material, you know, it compresses fairly easily. So it is fairly soft in my opinion, but we're going to compare that to the More V3. And as I use my thumbs to do the same here on this midsole foam, now this is quite a bit softer. And in terms of the ride, you're going to find yourself having a more plush or cushioned ride in the More V3 than you do in Hoka Clifton 8. And I feel like there's just a little bit more energy return, a little bit more excitement in running in that Fresh Foam X midsole material than there is in the Hoka Clifton 8 compression EVA midsole foam. For the midsole, I got to give it to the More V3. That Fresh Foam X midsole material is just softer, more cushioned, and more fun to run in. So let's look at the outsole, beginning with the Hoka Clifton 8 first. And here you can see that they have rubber in all of the high abrasion areas around it in the heel, and then from the forefoot all the way through to your toe off. And they have it running on a diagonal, and it comes down quite a ways into the midsection of the shoe. And then you see that it's also coupled with these flex grooves that also run on that diagonal. They help give you a nice natural feeling as you flow through your gait cycle. So let's take a look at the More V3. And here, again, beginning with the heel again, they have plenty of rubber around in the heel on all of the high abrasion areas again. And then starting in really the forefoot all the way through to your toe off. And they too have these flex grooves. They don't run on a diagonal, but I found that, that does a nice job at making you feel natural as you flow through your gait cycle with the More V3 as well. So let's take a look at the landing platform, because that does play a big role in how these shoes feel underfoot. And with the Hoka Clifton 8, they've got a fairly wide landing platform up in the forefoot. It does get a little bit more narrow in the midsection through to the heel. And then in the More V3, I think Hoka got out-Hoka'd here, because Hoka's known for having a wide landing platform. It gives you a nice stable feeling. But in this case, the More V3, again, out-Hoka'd Hoka, they have a more wide area there to land on in the forefoot of the shoe, and in the midsection and in the heel as well. So overall, for the outsole, I got to give it to the More V3. I like the little bit larger landing platform. I just think it feels really nice underfoot, gives you a nice stable ride as you're out moving through your gait cycle. Overall, the Hoka Clifton 8, now it costs less, it weighs less, and I found the upper to be a little more breathable. With the More V3, I like the tongue design a little better. I think that they got the padding just about spot on for that. I also like the well-defined heel pocket that's a result of having enough structure and material in the heel counter, as well as bringing that Fresh Foam X midsole material up so high in that heel counter area as well. I felt really secure in my heel. And then the Fresh Foam X midsole overall, I found to be more plush, softer, and just more fun to run in. And then as we take a look at the outsole, I like the outsole design better on the More V3 as well. I like that wider landing platform, which is kind of funny because Hoka's known for that, but it's a little less so in the Hoka Clifton 8. And I also like that wider area in the midfoot as well as into the heel. I think overall it's just a more comfortable ride. So the winner for me is the New Balance Fresh Foam More V3. Yes, they cost a little more and they weigh a little more, but as a daily trainer, you're going to be able to log a lot of really comfortable miles. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.